Welcome back to the channel. We just got the header and converter back all together. I got a few things I want to point out and show you that I think is worth mentioning that might benefit maybe even you. Anyways, as you can see, it's running, it's back together. The only thing that needs to be done is the headers need to be hooked to the pipe, but it's off the ramps. In my last video, you remember me trying to get all of this done, the header and torque converter installed by pulling the engine out, but I was missing the torque converter bolts I thought I have. So I wanted to show you what I bought. It's ARP 240-7302 torque converter bolts, and they work just fabulous. And then I also wanted to show you a little bit more on the dug headers. I get so much interest in these dug headers on both this duster and my other duster. So one of the things I want to point out is too often on, say, the cheaper headers. Let's see if I can get this brighter. It's getting dark on me already. Not even 4 o'clock. Is you have to go just 1/8 of a turn at a time because the bolt head is up against the header. But let me see if I can show you. I can put the whole box end on there like this. See that? And you can get it really nice and tight. The other ones, this is almost up against here, but here you got plenty of room, and that's nice. And it's not just that end, it's both ends. See? You can see I got that on there. And that really makes it nice when you go to tighten them up. Of course, if you install headers, you just get barely them started, and then I kind of draw these in so the head ain't out here where the bend is. So that's one thing I wanted to show you. Second thing is, on the cheap headers, it is very common for this pipe to go right over top your spark plugs, and you can't even see them. You got to try to change them down here. Look at the room at the spark plugs you got. That's a huge benefit. And I'm not going to crawl underneath there and show you, but there's no steering arms going through these headers, and you got more room around your starter, especially if it's a mini starter, than you normally would have. One thing, though, that I'm going to point out that you should know is that the header bolts they give you are longer. That's about 1/4 of an inch longer than a normal header bolt. And the reason why it's about 1/4 of an inch longer is because this has a much thicker flange right here. That's much thicker. And I'll bring you around to the other side, and you can see spark plugs, so easy to get at. Of course, they are in the cheap ones on this side too, but so there we have the headers in. I don't have power steering on this car, but it wouldn't be a problem. I got a lot of room around there. I also wanted to show this piece of paper here. I don't know if you can see it. The dug headers piece of paper. You might want to pause this if you're interested in them, but it's basically saying these headers fit 67 to 74 A body, E bodies, B bodies, 66 to 72s, Coronet, wagons, Challengers, Belvedere, GTX. You get the point. But I do want to point this out. Applications with 727s must use a mini starter. And 4 speeds, it may be necessary to grind the casting tabs on each side of the bell housing for clearance. Use the short oil filter. And that's something else I was going to take you over and show you. I was going to show you that the oil filter, boy, you almost can't see it because of the darkness, but you can see the M down there. See that M? That's the Mopar M. It's got a Mopar filter on it. It's the 090 or 090. But I got plenty of room for the filter. I can get right down there. I got my hand on it right now. So And I don't have the angled adapter, oil filter adapter on there. It just goes right into the block like you would think it would. As far as the torque converter, we're not going to know anything until I get the exhaust hook up and I'm able to take it out and drive it. And guys, every time they spread salt, these cars don't go out on the road until we get a good hard rain to wash it off. But anyways, it's back together, and I'm happy with how it turned out so far. Another thing that's pretty critical, I think, to share is that this engine has the Schumacher mounts on it. So this was a slant 6 car, and I used the adapting motor mounts from Schumacher from slant 6 to V8. And I didn't quite get my hole measured to drill for the motor mount bolt. And if you look, it's really hard to see by camera, but the driver's side of the engine sits a hair higher than the passenger side, and because of that, you're not going to see it now, it's too dark, but I had to just massage a little bit of relief into the number 5 and 7 tubes around the torsion bar. But on my other Duster, that wasn't an issue at all, because that was all factory V8. So other than that, not a hiccup at all. But it sure is running good and snappy. Just a bump of the key. Getting exciting now, guys. So just a reminder, given this low dollar 318, it's a stock short block, actually long block if you want to say. Still got the 318 heads, small valves, all of that. I just did touch the heads with a little bit with the Dremel. Never took a piston or rod out of it. The motor is a 76 out of my other Duster. We threw a cheap Summit cam in there. It's the, what is it, the 454, 272 advertised duration. I think it's 216 at 50. But other than that, it's been in here. We had this running and we've been beating on it since 2016. So soon to be 8 years. It will be 8 years when we pull it out in the spring, when our snow and that's coming is all going to be gone. Tracks will be open and we make a pass. So we're just trying to give the low dollar 318 a chance, just to see what it would do with a chance before we yank it out for a better engine. And it ran 14 nines at almost, not quite, almost 95 mile an hour, like 94 point something. And 8th mile times 960s, 970s, I think a best of a 957 for you half trackers. And but that was with 276 gears, manifolds with dual exhaust, and a stock torque converter. We now have headers. We now have a 9.5-inch PTC converter, and we're going to throw some gears in there. That's the part we haven't got yet, but coming soon. So stay tuned. We're excited now that it runs and sounds different. Sounds a little bit angry if you ask me.